Hello again, it's me, Tony Wright, First Love Christian Church, or FLCC, and AB Wright Ministries. You know this is the 90-day Bible study, day 14, and we're in Deuteronomy 8th chapter, 1st verse, through Deuteronomy 23rd chapter, and the 11th verse. Now right away, today's reading had me shaking my head. Boy, Moses was trying to get these folk to understand what they needed to do. And if there ever was a recipe for success given, this is definitely one of them. Now, right out of the gate, Moses, he's warning them against one of the most prevalent shortcomings of all of humanity. God had warned him, but let's not forget, Moses had traveled with these folk for more than 40 years. He knew exactly what these jokers were going to do. If you're an observer of people, and I would contend that you have to be if you plan to be at all effective in ministry. After all, what is ministry? Now, if we're to say that in providing ministry, that we're meeting the needs of people, then that's going to be a monumental task without knowing what those needs are. And knowing is going to be another monumental task without having connected the needs and the people. So you have to seek to know people. And Moses knew these people intimately. So when he said, beware, lest thou forget not, he knew they were most likely, and they were surely going to forget. You know, you've seen it before in the earlier text, that when things went bad, when they felt in need, they cried out to God. Then when they saw that God wasn't too keen on their foolishness, they cried out to Moses, Lord, have mercy. You might have heard something similar in your own lives. But just as soon as the need was met, they were right back to doing something foolish. Boy, if that isn't some special kind of foolishness. So anyway, right out of the gate, Moses tells them not to get there, in the promised land, in Canaan. And then get there and they're eating well and they have good homes to live in, plenty of livestock, lots of silver and gold, not to get prideful and forget about God. Boy, I feel like going straight to the pulpit right now. Moses, he will make you want to preach. You hear me? These doggone hard-head, stiff-necked, backslide. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's fast forward. Anyway, he told them to be careful. In fact, he told them that if they were not careful, if they were not cautious, if they were not attentive, if they were not humble, they would start thinking, as Moses put it, and say in thine own heart, my power and the might of my hand has gotten me this well. Boy, Moses could be preaching to any congregation right now. He just described the affliction of the cerebral inflammation or the swollen mind. It's what we commonly call the big head. When we start thinking that we can do things on our own. We don't need God. Or worse, after he's blessed us with something, then we try to take all the credit. Help me somebody. But Moses, he tried to do them a favor. Do them a tremendous favor, as a matter of fact. He told them that in the event that they did forget about God, that they were surely going to perish. Man, so many times. I just don't get it. It's like seeing a sign that says bridge out ahead, but you just speed ahead, either not believing the warning or not believing that it applies to them. I don't know what was wrong with it. Then, as they're plunging off into the abyss, it's Lord have mercy time. But there does come a time when God is no longer going to tolerate foolishness. And it will come a time that you either have to stop and turn around. It's what we call repent. Okay, back to Moses and the Israelites. As he's preaching to the choir, as we call them, he assured them that if they ventured into this promised land, God would be going before them. And he went through the pains of stressing, that God wasn't doing this because they were so good, but because the other nations were so bad. That was important. It still is. What is it that we do that is so good? Everything we have is by grace. We really don't deserve it at all. In fact, Moses just told them that they are a stiff-necked people flat out. Boy, don't you just hope they are listening to this brother though? Can you see it? Heads nodding up and down. Yep. But already thinking about what they're going to do when they have all that land and all that money. Oh my goodness. Man, So he reminded them how fast they slipped back into their real selves, when he went up to Mount Sinai for 40 days. And by the time he came back, these jokers had convinced Aaron to mold a golden calf. Moses said, just that quick, you had turned aside from the way the things the Lord had commanded you. And he reminded them about their rebellion back at Kadesh Barnea. When they believed the report of the 10 shaky dudes over the one great God. And by the way, did you notice that he reminded them that they had been rebellious against God for as long as he had known them? Hoo-wee! Boy, farce ain't playing, is it? He said the Lord was going to destroy you. And then Moses said he prayed, that God didn't look at their stubbornness and their wickedness and their sin, but he asked God to remember his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Boy, that's a lesson right there, isn't it? When you've asked God to do something and he said that he would, then next thing you know, you're messing up, but you're still praying and you're trying to tell him how good you are and how good you've been and everything. Forget that. You're not good. You best be hanging that blessing on God's promise, because God will keep his promises. Now, you're going to have issues with how good you are until Jesus come back. Hit the button. Fast forward, get up. So Moses, he lays it out for them. Now, God has told them to go and possess the land, because it's a land that God promised their forefathers. And God, like we said, is going to keep his promises. Now, Moses told them that all they have to do, all they need to do, all that God requires of them, is to fear him, walk in his ways, love him, and serve the Lord with all their heart and all their soul. Is it just me? Does that seem like it's too much to ask? And Moses was calling them out. Did you notice him saying, I'm not saying this to your children who has not seen all these things, all the miracles in Egypt, and all the things that God performed in the desert, and what he did to the complainers, that the earth swallowed up back there. But Moses said he's talking to them that have been witnesses to all those things. Are you kidding me? Are you telling me that after seeing all that these people could still turn their backs on God? Hoo-wee. But we do know, don't we, that we can forget things like that real fast. We can't we? I mean, right now, if someone asks you about bad things that happened or difficult times you've endured, you probably could run off a list so long that they might have to just walk away. But if they ask you about the times that God has come through for you, when he delivered, some people, they get their glassy-eyed look and they're able to tell them, that God is so good, and they just wave their hands around and all like that. But does every event, every blessing, every time that God comes through, every miracle he performs for you, every breakthrough, every promise that he keeps, every time that God delivers, does that register? Or you just start to take it for granted? Now, that's what's going on with these people. Remember, soon after God would bless them, they would very quickly resort to complaining about the same old thing. But those were the things that captured their thoughts, that captured their minds. Question I have is, what captures your mind? Your problems or God's goodness? I'm just asking. Curious mind, they do want to know. Oh my goodness. But Moses, he warned them about keeping the sacrifices and the feasts. And he reminded them about their responsibilities for the poor and the stranger. Now Moses also warned them, against taking on any of the habits of those inhabitants from those lands that they were going to be conquering. And that idol worship thingy, that probably had some toes hurting. You hear me? Boy, these jokers, they are quick to worship anything but God. But Moses is on to them. And did you see what Moses had laid out as punishment for rebellious children? Boy, am I glad that I missed that century. And I thought my punishment was tough. Look, these parents were to take their children to be stoned. Hoo-wee. Boy, in some neighborhoods, that would mean population 0. What in the world? Anyway, we've got to get out of here. But you keep reading this word. Boy, this is some good stuff. And you keep checking us out on your favorite social media platform. and get somebody plugged into this 90-day Bible study. You know they'll be blessed by the word. And tell your friends, tell your neighbors, FLCC, we're on the move, brothers and sisters. We're taking ministry back to the first love. See you soon. Peace.